Free speech under attack or free speech surrendered? I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.media. Is free speech under attack or is it being willfully surrendered? Unfortunately, for most of the mainstream media, the answer is it's being willfully surrendered. Think about it. What was the one main goal of the two gunmen in the shooting, the terrorist attack in Garland, Texas? It was to say that you cannot show images of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad. And what's happening in most of the mainstream media, they're not showing you images of Muhammad because they were attacking an event that was a free speech event that included a Draw Muhammad cartoon contest. Now, this is the winning image. It shows an angry Muhammad with a sword raised saying, "You can't draw me," and the unseen cartoonist's hand and pencil in a speech bubble saying simply, "That's why I draw you." Now, if there's a shooting based on this image existing, you would think that you might show that image. No, not in this case. The media are willingly saying they won't do it. That image, by the way, was drawn by a man named Bosch Fostwin. He's a former Muslim, grew up in Queens, New York, to Albanian immigrant parents, Muslim parents. He decided to leave his faith, and he drew that image to assert his First Amendment rights, his right to free speech. But the media are willingly giving up that right. They would rather attack the messenger. And that's what happened with one of the early interviews that Pamela Geller, the organizer of the event, gave to CNN. CNN host Alison Camerata couldn't wait to go after Geller for being incendiary.
Let's face it, your event wasn't just about the violence. It was about...
My event was about freedom of speech, period. Freedom of speech is the First Amendment. It's the first and most protected political speech, the most protected, because who would decide what's good and what's forbidden? These arbitrary voices? You? The Muslim Brotherhood? We need to have this conversation. And the fact that we have to spend upwards of $50,000 in security speaks to how dangerous and how in trouble freedom of speech is in this country. And then we have to get on these news shows, and somehow we are, those that are targeted, those that were going to be slaughtered, are the ones who get attacked, speaks to how morally inverted this conversation is.
The New York Times and New York Post were the same the morning after the shooting. This is hours after a thwarted terrorist attack, after two jihadis said, "You can't draw something in America or we will kill you." And what did they have up? Not articles supporting free speech. No, they had articles attacking Geller. In fact, they've just run an editorial denouncing this event and saying this isn't really free speech. This is extremism. This is hate speech, and calling it free speech is hogwash. Look at the screen capture of that bottom of that editorial. The next suggested article is Catholicism undervalues women. That's right. Some religions are open to criticism. Some are not. My friend Ben Shapiro over at Breitbart.com, he brilliantly brought together all the headlines from the same media outlets that are criticizing Geller and the Draw Muhammad event and compared it to their treatment of the Book of Mormon. And while they lavish praise on the Book of Mormon skewering religion, they have actually turned themselves inside out to attack Geller and her event. It all comes down to letting some religions live in peace, or at least one, and mocking all others. It's why the New York Times still has up on their website a lot of articles and even images of the controversial piece of art, Piss Christ. There's the image of Jesus Christ submerged in urine. Canada's state broadcaster, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, has the same thing. But they won't show the images that prompted the Charlie Hebdo attack, and they're definitely not showing the images behind the Garland terrorist attack. Instead, what they did was they blurred out those images while kind of denouncing the event.
The apparent target of the assault, an event by an anti-Islam group featuring cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. Blasphemous for Muslims.
That's the state of the media in America and Canada. It's no better in Britain. The Daily Mail, normally a go-to source for just the facts news coverage, publishing stories that others won't dare. Well, the Daily Mail, in their coverage, showed photos of what was happening inside the Curtis Caldwell Center in Garland, Texas, when the shooting was happening, but they blacked out all the images of the cartoons that were on display. This is the media allowing the terrorists to win. I know that after 9/11, it became so cliched that it was the butt of jokes. Everyone saying, if we don't do this, the terrorists have won. But in this case, it's true. If we don't show the images prompting the attacks, where people said, if you show those, I will shoot you, then we are letting them win because they are getting exactly what they wanted. They're ensuring that no one shows their prophet Muhammad. They may die in making sure that happens, but the end result is they win as the media surrenders their freedom of speech.